Silent preparation. Admiral Sarah Rain stood in her private quarters aboard the SS Nemesis, studying the holographic display of Earth's solar system. The blue glow from the projection cast shadows across her weathered face, highlighting the deep lines etched by years of preparation for this very moment. 20 years of waiting, planning, and building in absolute secrecy were about to be put to the test. A gentle chime announced Commander James Ville's arrival. "They've crossed the Kuiper Belt, Admiral," he reported, his voice tight with tension. "The Senate's fleet will reach Jupiter's orbit in approximately 6 hours." Rain nodded, her gray eyes never leaving the holographic display. "How many ships?" 873, Ville answered, stepping closer to the projection. "Mostly Theta-class battlecruisers, but there's something else." He paused, bringing up a new image. "Their flagship. It's unlike anything we've seen before." The hologram shifted to show a massive vessel, its design a perfect representation of the Senate's architectural arrogance. Nearly 15 kilometers in length, the ship resembled a silver arrow, its hull adorned with the characteristic blue-green energy channels that marked Senate technology. "Captain Rocker Vaughn's new toy," Rain murmured, her lip curling slightly. "The Senate's way of showing us exactly how outmatched we're supposed to be." The history between Rain and Vaughn was complicated, stretching back to humanity's first contact with the Galactic Senate 15 years ago. Vaughn had been the Senate's representative then, arriving with promises of advancement and integration into the greater galactic community. What they'd actually brought was subjugation masked as benevolence. "The crew is ready," Ville said, breaking through Rain's memories. "But they're nervous. 800 ships against one." He let the sentence hang. Rain finally turned from the display, fixing Ville with a steady gaze. "One ship is all we need, Commander. The Nemesis isn't what they think it is. None of this is what they think it is." She moved to her desk, picking up a small data crystal. Within it lay 20 years of humanity's greatest technological achievements, developments they'd kept hidden from the Senate's prying eyes. While the galaxy thought Earth was struggling to adapt Senate technology, they'd been pursuing their own path, guided by principles that the Senate had long abandoned. "Do you remember what Vaughn said during the first contact?" Rain asked, turning the crystal between her fingers. Ville nodded. "That humanity was like a child finding their parents' toolbox. That we needed guidance to avoid hurting ourselves. And all this time," Rain continued, "they never questioned why we accepted their guidance so readily. Why we appeared to struggle with even basic Senate technology. Their arrogance blinded them to the possibility that we might be capable of more." The crystal caught the light, scattering rainbow patterns across the wall. Within its lattice structure lay the true extent of human innovation: quantum mechanics pushed beyond theoretical limits, energy manipulation systems that defied conventional physics, and artificial intelligence that made the Senate's computational systems look primitive. "The Nemesis is ready," Rain said, placing the crystal back on her desk. "Have engineering begin the final preparations. I want all systems at full capacity when Vaughn's fleet arrives." "Yes, Admiral." Ville turned to leave but paused at the door. "The President's office has sent another request. They want to know if there's still a chance for diplomatic resolution." Rain's expression hardened. The time for diplomacy ended when the Senate decided to send an invasion fleet. "They're not here to negotiate, Commander. They're here to make an example of us, to show the galaxy what happens when a primitive species refuses to know its place." She returned to the holographic display, watching the steady advance of the Senate fleet. "But they're about to learn something about humanity, something that every empire throughout history discovered too late." She looked back at Ville, her eyes glinting with fierce determination. "When you back humans into a corner, we don't cower. We fight." The next few hours passed in a blur of activity. The Nemesis hummed with energy as systems that had remained dormant for years came online. Deep within the ship's core, technologies that the Senate couldn't even comprehend began to sync with each other, creating something entirely new. Rain stood on the bridge, watching as her crew worked with practiced efficiency. Every person aboard the Nemesis had been chosen specifically for this mission, each understanding the weight of responsibility that rested on their shoulders. They were humanity's last line of defense, and failure wasn't an option. Admiral, the ship's AI, Phoenix, announced, "I'm detecting unusual energy signatures from the Senate fleet. They appear to be charging weapons while still at long range." Rain smiled grimly. "They're not taking any chances." "Good. That means they're nervous." The main view screen showed the Senate fleet emerging from behind Jupiter, their ships arranged in an attack formation that spoke of absolute confidence in their superiority. The sight would have been intimidating to anyone who didn't know what the Nemesis was truly capable of. "Send a message to all crew stations," Rain ordered. "This is the moment we've prepared for. Everything we've built, everything we've hidden, it all comes down to the next few hours. The Senate thinks they're here to witness humanity's surrender. Instead, they're about to witness the beginning of a new era." As the message went out, Rain felt the familiar weight of command settle over her. The next few hours would determine not just Earth's fate, but the future of human expansion among the stars. The Senate had ruled through technological superiority for millennia, keeping lesser species in check through carefully controlled access to advanced technology. That system was about to be shattered. "Phoenix," Rain called out, "begin power-up sequence for all primary systems. Activate the quantum shield matrix." "Acknowledged, Admiral," the AI responded. "Quantum shield matrix engaging. Warning, power signature will be detectable by Senate sensors." "Let them detect it," Rain said, her voice carrying across the bridge. "It's time they learned that humanity hasn't been as complacent as they thought." The Nemesis's systems came alive, energy coursing through pathways that had remained hidden for years. The ship's true nature began to reveal itself, transforming from what appeared to be an outdated vessel into something the galaxy had never seen before. Commander Ville stood at his station, monitoring the power readings. "Admiral, the Senate fleet has noticed our power spike. They're adjusting their formation." "Of course they are," Rain replied, a hint of satisfaction in her voice. "They're realizing that something isn't quite right. That this isn't going to be the simple subjugation they planned for." The bridge crew watched as the massive Senate fleet approached, their ship spreading out in a classic encirclement pattern. They still believed in their overwhelming numerical superiority, still convinced that one ship, regardless of its capabilities, couldn't possibly stand against their combined might. Rain's hand rested on the command console, feeling the subtle vibration of the Nemesis's power systems. Everything they'd worked for, every secret advancement and hidden breakthrough, was about to be revealed. The Senate had come expecting to find a primitive species ready for conquest. Instead, they were about to encounter something they'd never faced before, humanity unleashed. "All stations, battle stations," Rain commanded, her voice steady and clear. "The Senate wants to see what humanity is capable of. Let's show them exactly what they've overlooked all these years." The Nemesis moved forward, a single ship against an armada, carrying with it humanity's future and the end of the Senate's technological dominance. The real battle was about to begin, and nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same. Revelation. The space between Jupiter and Mars erupted in a display of power that would be remembered for centuries to come. Captain Rocker Vaughn's face appeared on the Nemesis's main view screen, his angular features twisted in a mixture of contempt and amusement. "Admiral Rain," he drawled, his voice carrying the characteristic accent of the Senate's elite. "One ship against my fleet. I expected more from the species that's been refusing our generous guidance for so long." Rain studied Vaughn's face, noting the subtle signs of uncertainty beneath his confident facade. "Captain Vaughn," she replied, her voice cool and measured. "I wondered if you'd have the courage to face us directly." Vaughn's expression flickered briefly. "Courage? You mistake arrogance for bravery, Admiral." Your single vessel against 800 of the Senate's finest ships isn't courage, it's suicide. Is that what you think this is? Rain asked, allowing a small smile to play across her lips. Tell me, Captain, in all your years serving the Senate, have you ever wondered why Earth accepted your guidance so readily? Why we struggled with even the most basic Senate technology? Before Vaughn could respond, Rain nodded to Commander Ville. Show them what 20 years of silence has bought us. The Nemesis's outer hull began to transform. Panels that had appeared to be standard armor plating shifted and realigned, revealing layers of technology that the Senate had never seen before. The ship's energy signature, which had registered as barely noteworthy on Senate sensors, suddenly spiked to levels that their instruments couldn't even measure. Phoenix, Rain commanded, initiate primary defense systems. The AI's response was immediate. A field of quantum-entangled particles sprang into existence around the Nemesis, creating a shield that didn't just deflect energy, it absorbed and redirected it. The technology was based on principles that the Senate had dismissed as theoretical centuries ago. Vaughn's eyes widened as his sensors registered the impossible readings. What is this? He demanded, his composure cracking. These energy signatures, they're not possible. Possible? Rain's voice carried a sharp edge. You've spent so long believing in your own superiority that you've forgotten something crucial about humanity, Captain. We don't accept limitations. We break them. The Senate fleet opened fire, thousands of energy beams converging on the Nemesis's position. The quantum shield flared brilliantly, absorbing the massive energy assault. But instead of weakening, the shield grew stronger, converting the attack into usable power. Holy shit, Ville whispered, watching the energy readings climb. The quantum absorption matrix is operating at 300% efficiency. We're actually gaining power from their attacks. Rain allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. You see, Captain, she addressed Vaughn, while you were watching us struggle with your outdated technology, we were pursuing our own path. The Senate's greatest mistake was assuming that humanity needed to follow your rules. The Nemesis's weapon systems came online, revealing arrays of technology that merged quantum mechanics with principles of physics that the Senate had never explored. The ship's AI coordinated the systems with precision that made the Senate's combat computers look primitive by comparison. Target their forward command ships, Rain ordered. Let's show them exactly what they've overlooked. The Nemesis unleashed its first volley. Beams of concentrated quantum energy cut through space, bypassing the Senate ship's shields as if they didn't exist. 3 command vessels disappeared in explosions that rippled through subspace itself. Panic spread through the Senate fleet. Ships that had been maintaining perfect formation began to break ranks, their commanders confronted with weapons they had no defense against. Vaughn's face had lost all trace of arrogance, replaced by growing horror. This is impossible, he stammered. Your species, you're supposed to be primitive. Your technology shouldn't be capable of this. Primitive? Rain's voice was sharp. Because we didn't follow your predetermined path of development. The Senate's arrogance isn't just in believing you're superior, Captain. It's in believing that your way is the only way. The battle continued to unfold, but it was no longer a battle, it was a demonstration. The Nemesis moved through the Senate fleet with devastating efficiency, its weapon systems targeting key vessels while its quantum shields remained impenetrable. Admiral, Phoenix announced, enemy fleet cohesion is breaking down. Their command structure is compromised. Rain watched as the mighty Senate fleet, pride of the galaxy's ruling body, began to dissolve into chaos. Ships fired desperately, their weapons having no effect on the Nemesis's defenses. Some vessels attempted to retreat, while others continued to fight with diminishing coordination. You should have left us alone, Captain, Rain said, addressing Vaughn's increasingly panicked face on the screen. We were content to develop in our own way, at our own pace. But you couldn't accept that, could you? The Senate couldn't bear the thought of a species choosing its own path. Vaughn's flagship, massive and imposing, began to turn away from the battle. "This isn't over, Rain," he snarled. "The Senate won't stand for this rebellion. We'll return with a force that will reduce your Earth to ash." Rain's expression hardened. "No, Captain, you won't." She turned to her weapons officer. "Target Vaughn's command bridge. Full quantum burst." The Nemesis's main weapon charged, drawing power from the very attacks that the Senate fleet had launched. A beam of pure quantum energy lanced out, cutting through Vaughn's flagship like a knife through paper. The massive vessel's bridge disappeared in a flash of light, taking with it the Senate's greatest naval commander. In the silence that followed, Rain broadcast on all frequencies. "To all remaining Senate vessels, your command structure is broken. Your weapons are useless. You have one chance to retreat. If you choose to continue fighting, we will show you no mercy." The Senate fleet didn't need to be told twice. Ships began jumping to hyperspace, disappearing in flashes of light until only debris remained as evidence of the battle that had just taken place. Rain stood on the bridge of the Nemesis, surrounded by her crew who were still processing what they had just accomplished. One ship had just defeated the largest fleet in known space, using technology that would rewrite the galaxy's understanding of what was possible. "Admiral," Vil said quietly, "what happens now? The Senate won't take this lying down." Rain turned to her first officer, her expression resolute. "Now, Commander, we prepare for what comes next. The Senate will react exactly as we predicted, with fear, anger, and eventually, desperation. But they've lost something today that they'll never get back. Their air of invincibility," Vil realized. "More than that," Rain replied. "They've lost their monopoly on advanced technology. The galaxy is about to learn that there's more than one path to the stars, and humanity's way might just be better." The Nemesis began its journey back to Earth, leaving behind a battlefield that would become legendary. The Senate's greatest fleet had been defeated, their most celebrated commander killed, and their technological superiority shattered. But as Rain knew, this was just the beginning. The real war, the one that would determine humanity's place in the galaxy, was about to begin. And thanks to 20 years of silent preparation, Earth was ready for what came next. Aftershocks. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Senate was in chaos. Representatives from 1,000 worlds shouted over each other, their voices echoing off the ancient walls of the circular chamber. High above, in the observers' gallery, Admiral Sarah Rain watched the proceedings with calculated interest, her presence a deliberate provocation to the very institution that had tried to subjugate Earth just 3 days earlier. "Order!" Supreme Chancellor Tech 6's voice boomed through the chamber, his 4 arms raised in a gesture for silence. "We will have order in these proceedings." Gradually, the cacophony died down, though the tension remained palpable. Rain could feel the hostile glares directed at her from various species representatives. The news of the Senate fleet's defeat had spread through the galaxy like wildfire, sending shockwaves through the established order. "The chair recognizes Senator Krall of the Centaurian Consensus," Tech 6 announced, his violet skin flushed with stress. A tall, crystalline being rose from their seat, their faceted body refracting light across the chamber. "Supreme Chancellor, honored colleagues, we cannot ignore the magnitude of what has transpired. 800 ships of the line, destroyed or routed by a single vessel. Captain Vaughn, one of our most decorated commanders, dead. The implications are disturbing." Rain allowed herself a small smile. The Centaurians had always been among the more reasonable members of the Senate, often questioning the body's more heavy-handed policies. Their concern now wasn't just about military defeat, it was about the shattering of assumptions that had governed galactic society for millennia. "Disturbing?" A harsh voice cut through the chamber. Senator Vex of the Kraxan Empire stood, his scaled skin bristling with anger. "This is beyond disturbing. This is insurrection. These humans have been deliberately deceiving us, developing weapons in secret while pretending to be primitive. They should be made an example of. Rain's hand tightened on the railing of the observer's gallery, but her expression remained neutral. Commander Ville, standing beside her, leaned in close. "They're scared," he whispered. "You can see it in how they're reacting. Even the aggressive ones, especially the aggressive ones. Fear makes them dangerous," Rain murmured back. "But it also makes them predictable." Below, the debate continued to rage. The Senate was divided between those calling for immediate military action against Earth and those advocating for a more measured approach. The loss of their fleet had shaken their confidence, but centuries of assumed superiority didn't disappear overnight. Perhaps, a new voice interjected, "We should hear from the humans themselves." The chamber fell silent as all eyes turned to Senator Lyra May, Earth's appointed representative to the Senate. She stood gracefully, her dark skin contrasting with the white diplomatic robes that marked her station. Rain felt a surge of pride. Lyra had been her choice for this role, and she was about to prove why. "Honored colleagues," Lyra began, her voice clear and steady, "let us speak plainly. 3 days ago, the Senate sent a fleet to Earth, not in peace, not in friendship, but with the intent to force our compliance with Senate authority. This was done without provocation, without declaration of war, and without just cause." Angry mutters filled the chamber, but Lyra continued undaunted. "That fleet was met by a single ship, which demonstrated technology that many of you believed impossible. Now you call us deceptive, accuse us of insurrection, because we dared to develop along our own path rather than following your prescribed course of advancement. You hid your true capabilities." Senator Vex shouted. "You played at being primitive while secretly building weapons of war." "We hid nothing," Lyra countered. "We simply chose not to share. The Senate's assumption of our technological level was just that, an assumption, based on your own prejudices and preconceptions. At no point did we claim to be struggling with technology. You saw what you expected to see, and we had no obligation to correct your misconceptions." Rain watched as Lyra's words hit home. The Senate had prided itself on being the arbiter of technological advancement in the galaxy, carefully controlling which species had access to what technology. Earth's demonstration had not just defeated their fleet, it had challenged their entire system of control. Supreme Chancellor Tech 6 raised a hand for silence. "Representative May, what exactly is Earth's position now? What are your demands?" "Demands?" Lyra smiled slightly. "We make no demands, Supreme Chancellor. We simply state facts. Earth will no longer accept the Senate's authority over our development. We will pursue our own path, develop our own technology, and expand according to our own principles." The chamber erupted again, but Lyra's voice cut through the noise. "However, we are not seeking conflict. Earth is willing to establish new diplomatic relations with the Senate, as equals, not as subjects. We are prepared to share some of our technological advancements, provided the Senate acknowledges our independence and right to self-determination." Rain nodded approvingly. This was the crucial moment, the offer that would divide the Senate even further. Some species would be desperate to understand how Earth had achieved such advances, while others would see any cooperation as legitimizing rebellion. "And if we refuse?" Senator Vex demanded. "If we choose to respond to your defiance with the full might of the Senate's combined fleets?" Rain stepped forward then, making her presence known to the entire chamber. Her voice, when it came, carried the weight of someone who had already proven their words were not empty threats. "Then you will learn that what you saw 3 days ago was just a fraction of Earth's true capabilities," she stated calmly. "The Nemesis is not unique. It is merely the first of its kind. We spent 20 years preparing not just one ship, but an entire defensive network. The choice is yours, honored senators, adaptation or obsolescence." The silence that followed was deafening. Rain could see the calculations happening behind every alien face, the weighing of pride against pragmatism, of tradition against survival. "The Senate will recess for deliberation," Supreme Chancellor Tech 6 announced, his voice heavy with the weight of history shifting around them. We will reconvene in 12 standard hours. As the chamber began to empty, Vil turned to Rain. Think they'll make the right choice? They don't have a choice, Rain replied, watching the various representatives hurry to consult with their governments. The galaxy changed 3 days ago, whether they accept it or not. The only question is how many more demonstrations they'll need before they understand that. Outside the Senate chamber, news of the debate was already spreading across the galaxy. Species that had long chafed under Senate authority watched with growing interest, while others who had benefited from the old system scrambled to adapt to the new reality. The next 12 hours would determine whether the galaxy entered a new age of cooperation or plunged into a war that would reshape civilization itself. But whatever the Senate decided, one thing was certain: humanity would never again be underestimated. Ripples of change. The observation deck of the Nemesis offered an unparalleled view of the unprecedented gathering taking place in Earth's orbit. Dozens of ships from various species across the galaxy hung in space, their designs as diverse as their origins. Admiral Rain stood at the viewport, hands clasped behind her back, watching as another delegation arrived through the quantum gateway Earth had established just weeks after the Senate confrontation. The Arcadian vessel is requesting permission to dock, Phoenix announced. Their ambassador expresses particular interest in discussing quantum shield technology. Rain nodded, a slight smile playing at her lips. Grant them clearance, but maintain standard security protocols. And inform Dr. Chen that she'll have another group for her technical symposium. The past month had transformed Earth from a supposedly backward world into the galaxy's most sought-after technological partner. The Senate's influence was waning, not through force, but through something far more powerful: innovation and choice. Commander Vil entered the observation deck, tablet in hand. Admiral, you'll want to see this. The Centaurian Consensus just formally announced their withdrawal from the Senate's Technology Regulation Treaty. The fourth major power to do so this week, Rain noted, taking the tablet. The Senate's control is crumbling faster than we anticipated. The screen displayed footage from the Centaurian announcement, their crystalline representatives gleaming under their world's triple suns. Their declaration was diplomatic but firm: they would no longer allow an outdated institution to dictate the pace of their technological advancement. There's more, Vil continued. We're receiving reports of widespread protests on Senate core worlds. The general population is demanding access to Earth's medical technology, especially after word spread about our regeneration protocols. Rain turned back to the viewport, watching as the Arcadian ship, with its distinctive organic architecture, maneuvered toward one of the Nemesis's docking bays. We're reaching a tipping point, James. The Senate can't maintain their system of control when their own citizens are seeing alternatives. The doors slid open again, admitting Lyra May, Earth's Senate representative. Her diplomatic robes were now adorned with symbols of Earth's new status, no longer a subject world, but a power in its own right. The Senate just concluded an emergency session, Lyra announced, her voice carrying a mix of satisfaction and concern. They're splitting into factions. The reformists are gaining support, but the traditionalists are becoming more desperate. Desperate enough to try military action again? Vil asked. Not directly, Lyra replied, joining them at the viewport. But our intelligence suggests they're exploring other options. Sabotage, espionage, attempting to turn species against each other. They're fighting to maintain relevance in a galaxy that's outgrowing them. Rain activated a holographic display, showing the current political landscape of known space. Regions that had once been solidly under Senate control were now marked in various colors, representing new alliances and independent technological development zones. Look at this pattern, she said, gesturing to the shifting boundaries. Species that were historically enemies are now forming research partnerships. The Senate's technology restrictions didn't just hold back advancement, they fostered artificial divisions. The hologram highlighted several key regions where change was most dramatic. The Arcadian Centaurian Research Cooperative had already produced breakthroughs in biotechnology. The Kraxan Empire, once among the Senate's strongest military supporters, was now quietly negotiating with Earth for access to quantum shield technology. "Admiral," Phoenix interrupted, incoming priority message from Luna Base. "The prototype for Project Aurora is ready for initial testing." Rain's expression turned serious. "Right on schedule. Inform the research team I'll be there within the hour." She turned to her companions. "This is what the Senate fears most, not our military capability, but our ability to innovate freely." "What exactly is Project Aurora?" Vil asked, curiosity evident in his voice. "The next step," Rain replied. "The Nemesis proved we could match and exceed Senate technology. Aurora is about going in directions they never even considered." She paused, considering how much to reveal. "Let's just say it makes quantum shields look primitive by comparison." Lyra's eyes widened slightly. "Is this why you've been pushing for the Open Technology Initiative? Creating a framework for sharing advancements?" Rain nodded. "The Senate maintained power by controlling access to technology. We're going to change the galaxy by sharing it. But it has to be controlled, structured. We can't just release advanced technology without considering the consequences." The hologram shifted again, showing the growing network of research facilities and collaboration centers Earth had established. Each one represented a carefully chosen partnership, a step toward a new galactic order based on cooperation rather than control. "We're receiving another transmission," Phoenix announced. "The Kraxan Empire is making a public declaration." The hologram displayed the image of first speaker Tal, his scaled features set in an expression of determination. "For too long, we have allowed others to dictate the terms of our advancement. The Empire hereby announces its full withdrawal from all Senate technology treaties. Furthermore, we are accepting Earth's invitation to join the Open Technology Initiative." The announcement sent immediate ripples through the diplomatic channels. The Kraxan Empire had been one of the Senate's strongest military allies. Their defection would send a clear message: the old order was truly ending. "That's it," Lyra breathed. "The Senate can't maintain control without Kraxan support. They'll have to either reform or become irrelevant." Rain watched as more ships arrived through the quantum gateway, each representing another world or species seeking partnership with Earth. "The galaxy is entering a new age," she said quietly. "But we need to be careful. Rapid change brings its own dangers." She turned to Vil, "Increase security monitoring across all research facilities. The traditionalists will be desperate now. We need to be ready for anything they might try." "Already on it," Vil replied. "I've also been working with Phoenix to develop new encryption protocols. If they can't stop the spread of technology, they might try to corrupt it." Rain nodded approvingly. Even in victory, she hadn't forgotten the lessons that had brought them here. Preparation, vigilance, and always staying several steps ahead of potential threats. "Admiral," Phoenix interrupted again, "the Arcadian ambassador is ready for their meeting. They've brought their chief scientific advisor." "Very well," Rain said, straightening her uniform. "Lyra, I want you there for this discussion. The Arcadians' biological technology could be crucial for Project Aurora's next phase." As they left the observation deck, Rain took one last look at the gathered ships. Each one represented a choice, a species or world deciding to embrace change rather than cling to the past. The Senate had ruled through restriction and control, but Earth was offering something different, the chance for every species to reach their full potential. The galaxy was transforming, not through war or conquest, but through the simple act of sharing knowledge. It was a revolution without weapons, a victory without battles. And it was only the beginning. Dawn of a new era. The Lunar Research Complex stretched across the Moon's Copernicus crater, its quantum glass domes gleaming under Earth's reflected light. Within the central facility, Admiral Sarah Rain stood before a gathering that would have been impossible just months ago, representatives from over 50 species, including former Senate loyalists and long-suppressed independent worlds. Project Aurora was about to change everything again. Phoenix, Rain commanded, initiate the demonstration sequence. The AI's presence manifested through the facility's holographic systems, creating a display that filled the vast chamber. Initiating Aurora protocols. All systems nominal. In the center of the room, a sphere of pure energy materialized, not through traditional containment fields or quantum barriers, but through something entirely new. The assembled aliens watched in stunned silence as the sphere began to pulse with patterns that seemed to defy the laws of physics themselves. What you're seeing, Rain began, her voice carrying easily through the chamber, is not just a new form of energy manipulation. It's a fundamentally different approach to understanding the universe itself. Commander Vil, standing at a control station, monitored the readings with intense focus. The project they'd been developing in secret, even while dealing with the Senate crisis, was finally ready to be revealed. The Senate's technology, Rain continued, was based on manipulation, forcing the universe to behave according to our desires. Aurora takes a different approach. Instead of fighting against natural laws, we've learned to work with them, to understand them on a deeper level. The sphere expanded, its energy patterns becoming more complex. Streams of data flowed through the air, showing calculations and concepts that made even the most advanced Senate scientists struggle to comprehend. "This is impossible," murmured Tal, the Kraxan first speaker. "These energy patterns, they violate every principle of conventional physics." "No," corrected Dr. Elena Chen, Earth's lead scientist on Project Aurora. "They don't violate physics, they reveal how incomplete our understanding was." The Senate's approach to science was like trying to understand an ocean by looking at a single drop of water. The demonstration continued as the Aurora sphere began to interact with the fabric of spacetime itself. Small distortions appeared around it, but unlike the brutal tear of traditional faster-than-light travel, these were smooth, natural, like waves in a pond. 3 months ago, Rain addressed the gathering, we showed you that Earth's technology could match and exceed the Senate's military might. Today, we're showing you something far more important, a new way forward. The holographic displays shifted, showing the practical applications of Aurora technology. Transportation systems that didn't just traverse space but worked in harmony with it. Energy production that drew from the fundamental forces of the universe without depleting them. Medical techniques that could heal by enhancing the body's natural processes rather than forcing artificial changes. The Senate's greatest failure, Rain continued, wasn't their attempt to control other species. It was their belief that there was only one path to advancement, only one way to understand the universe. They stagnated not because they lacked intelligence or resources, but because they stopped questioning, stopped exploring new possibilities. The Aurora sphere pulsed again, and this time, the entire room seemed to resonate with it. The assembled representatives felt something, not through their various sensory organs, but on a deeper, almost intuitive level. What is that?" asked the Arcadian ambassador, their bioluminescent patterns flickering with excitement. "Harmony," Dr. Chen replied simply. "The universe isn't just a collection of forces to be conquered or controlled. It's a symphony of interconnected patterns. Aurora technology doesn't just observe these patterns, it becomes part of them." Rain moved to the center of the room, standing beside the pulsing sphere. "Earth is offering this technology to all of you, not as a gift or a trade, but as a foundation for something new. We're proposing the creation of the Galactic Concordat, not a governing body like the Senate, but a collaborative network dedicated to exploration and discovery." The chamber erupted in discussion, representatives talking excitedly among themselves. This was more than just new technology, it was a complete paradigm shift in how species could interact with the universe and each other. Lyra May stepped forward, her diplomatic training helping her capture the moment. The Senate ruled through restriction and fear of the unknown. The Concordat will thrive on cooperation and endless possibility. Every species, every world, bringing their unique perspectives and insights to our understanding of the universe. The Centaurian representative's crystalline form sparkled with interest. "And the Senate?" They still control significant resources and territories. The Senate will adapt or become irrelevant, Rain replied firmly. Already, their member worlds are choosing to join us. Not because we're forcing them, but because we're offering something they've always wanted, the freedom to grow, to explore, to reach their full potential. Commander Ville's console chimed with an alert. Admiral, we're receiving transmissions from across the galaxy. Word of Aurora is spreading. More worlds are declaring their independence from Senate control. The transformation is accelerating. Rain nodded, unsurprised. They had known this would happen, it was why they had waited to reveal Aurora until the political situation was right. The Senate's power had been built on technological superiority. With that gone, their entire system of control was crumbling. Let me be clear, Rain addressed the gathering once more. This is not about Earth replacing the Senate as the dominant power in the galaxy. The age of single-species dominance is over. The Concordat will be built on principles of mutual advancement and shared discovery. Every member will have equal access to Aurora technology and equal voice in its development. The Aurora sphere pulsed one final time before slowly dissipating, but its effect on the gathered representatives remained. They had witnessed something that changed not just their understanding of technology, but their vision of what was possible. The choice is yours, Rain concluded. You can cling to the old ways, fighting to maintain control over limited resources and restricted knowledge. Or you can join us in building something new, a future where advancement comes not from domination, but from harmony. Where the only limits are those we place on ourselves. One by one, the representatives stepped forward to signal their world's commitment to the Concordat. Even those who had been skeptical couldn't deny the potential they had witnessed. The galaxy was entering a new age, and this time, every species would have the chance to help shape it. As the formal declarations were made and the framework for the Concordat began to take shape, Rain stood with her closest advisors, watching the historic moment unfold. It worked, Ville said quietly. Everything we planned, everything we prepared for, it actually worked. This is just the beginning, Rain replied, her eyes on the Earth hanging in the lunar sky above them. We've given the galaxy a new path forward, but where it leads, that's up to all of us now. The Luna complex hummed with activity as representatives began forming working groups, eager to begin sharing their species' unique insights and perspectives. The Senate's age of restriction was ending, replaced by an era of unlimited potential and discovery. Humanity had not just secured its place among the stars, it had helped create a new way for all species to reach them together. The universe, vast and mysterious, waited to be explored not through force or control, but through understanding and harmony. The last stand of humanity had become the first step toward a future that even Earth's most optimistic dreamers hadn't imagined possible. And somewhere in that future, among the countless stars and unexplored possibilities, lay adventures and discoveries that would shape not just one species, but the destiny of all intelligent life in the galaxy.